webcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European crossover webinar. This is actually our second week, but it's the first full week for the webinar, and presented with ForexAnalytix. And one of the great things about this particular website, it's more than a website, it's actually a chat service. We not only do you have the opportunity to follow all the pairs, but you actually have the opportunity to go on and whether it's going to be through harmonics or regular basic technical analysis. I mean, it's got a plethora of data. You really actually have to check this out. It's really an all-in-one program with a news service. I mean, the whole works. I mean, you've got everything here on this website. I just went and posted this here just so you can get an idea of the different options here, same thing here, whether it's Elliott Wave. And I had my own analysis. I've been pushing out my own analysis. Obviously, you can see here, macro candlesticks, basic technical harmonics. You just click on which one you want, and you get an idea for a longer term, shorter term, support, resistance. I had actually pushed this out at the end of the session yesterday, going into Asia. I think I posted a little bit late. I'm getting a little bit used to some of all the bells and whistles on this, but really it's a comprehensive program. More than that is I would go on and state is that also you have the team here with a great chat, a great room where a lot of great traders in here. Obviously there's Blake in there, everybody knows the pips are, but a lot of great traders in here, as well as Amanda, but some talented traders, a plethora, Simon, Amir. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people, Greg. Here's Eric, Blake again. Blake's here throughout the whole day, but you really have the opportunity to go in and take advantage of this. It's a like I said, it's a great. Think of it this way: it's a great support group. And but anyway, getting back here to the ForexAnalytix. Yeah, I had posted this analysis coming into today, and also did some for the cable. Updated the dollar index. We're going to be changing the way we look at intraday, because I'm going to try and set this up more for setup plays. So it's going to be a little bit different the way we do the intraday analysis. Obviously, we look at the 2-hour charts, but we try and get a feel. Like, so here yesterday, we had said the euro successfully defended the 1541, the daily we had from the overnight session. We had defended that as we came into the U.S. session, which would open the door for 1607. I think we made it up here into the 16 teens. That was tested in the same session. Technically speaking, the euro feels vulnerable. This week's ECB should provide a catalyst for the next move. A daily close below 1541. We harped on that yesterday. Should break the euro 150 pips if we get that. Play the ranges until ECB 1541 and 1635. Obviously came in today, and look where we're at right now. We're at 1580. And the high yesterday, and I mean the high this morning, and I was saying, hey, play the ranges, and here we are. There's a high, 1644 and a half, and we were saying, hey, just play those ranges up to 1635. Right now, we're at 1581. There's a lot of good analysis here on the site. You got to go in and check it out here on ForexAnalytix. So I want to go and give a plug for that. I mean, we'll probably be using this program a lot in conjunction with the charts themselves. But let's go in and get into, usually what we like to do is, although we hit a quick flyby on that, is the news, because it kind of gives us a flavor or a feel of what we're looking at. So coming in from the overnight session, as far as the Aussie, and we just hit it very, very lightly. The Australian and New Zealand dollars hovered around 2.5-year lows against the greenback on Tuesday, as investors feared an escalation in the Sino-U.S. trade war. Currencies also skidded against the British pound on surge on hopes of a Brexit deal. All eyes this week will be on the showdown between China's Xi Jinping and Trump, and the news coming out of the respective camps, as James Connivton, currency strategist at Western Union. President Trump warned last week he was ready to slap tariffs on virtually all Chinese imports in the United States, threatening duties on another $267 billion worth of goods. This is what kicked the dollar into high gear on the close. We talked about that yesterday. On Friday, we had a good NFP, like I said, kind of give us a narrative. We had a good NFP, but it wasn't like the dollar went gangbusters. But this news midway into the U.S. session or midway into the early morning U.S. session, really got the dollar on the bid and started pushing up higher. So with the Aussie dollar trading somewhat as a proxy for Chinese growth, it will remain under pressure. As long as we see the rhetoric between Beijing and Washington continue to be focused on the implementation of tariffs. So once again, we're just going to quickly do a quick flyby on some of the news. Sterling rises to a 5-week high as market bets on Brexit deal. Sterling rallied for a second consecutive day on Tuesday as a weaker dollar, appetite for riskier currencies, while overnight comments from the European Union chief negotiator that a Brexit deal was possible within weeks boosted sentiment. Recent comments from the UK and European side are remarkably positive for the British currency, but these negotiations are by no means a straightforward affair. Hedge funds are broadly negative on the outlook for the British currency, and this is one of the reasons on the cable, and we'll get to that. It looks like we came right into our area here. Actually, we did the analysis. I did analysis in the Asian update at that time, and I was looking for the market to come really between 30.83, and I put a stretch all the way up to 31.15. You can see we got up to this area. You see that right there? Between here, 30.83. So I'm looking for 30.83. I don't know if I can pull that up here on the ForexAnalytix, but you have the opportunity, like you see, jump back in here. Have to jump into the cable. But what we're looking at is, let's see if we can get that update. There we go. Look at the cable right here. There we go. And here's the Asian update here yesterday. So for those of you who have access to the ForexAnalytix, that's a great thing about it is, you know, the webinar is over and I try and get some analysis out for the day. So looking at the cable, said 2 hour. Here's a 2 hour chart. Looking for an upside challenge to 30.83. Well, what do you know here? There's 30.83. And we just took it out and we're 60 pips lower. But anyway, here's what we're looking for in the Asian. I'm looking for an upside challenge to 30.83 with a stretch to 31.15. The market is oversold, so do not get in the way. A daily close above the 30.56 pivot will put a bomb in place for the pound with an upside to 133. That's a good thing. You ought to go and try out the ForexAnalytix because we're getting analysis and updates throughout the day. You're getting it from Blake, from Steve, from Stelios, from Grega. I mean, it's just Amanda. I mean, so, and like I said, all different types of analysis also throughout the day with, like I said, if you're into Elliott Wave or just plain old candlesticks or harmonics. But anyway, like I said, we were looking for, did the analysis on this after the close, early in the Asian session. And unfortunately, I think it was Stelios or might have been Blake that pushed that analysis out for me. But it was timely because, like I said, here we are in the the webinar, and you're thinking, wow, well, that I would have had. Thanks a lot. I wish I would have had that analysis. I could have used that and taken advantage of that. And sure enough, like I said, we were looking for 30.83, and made it up to 30.88. I was actually looking, I thought I could even push even higher. That's why I said 30.83, and there's our level there, 30.83, with a push all the way up here to some good volume there, right there, 31.15. But anyway, getting back to the Brexit news, before we jump into our analysis, we're trying to still kind of get a feel on how best to go and play out our webinar to provide not only the news, the analysis, kind of get a focus for the day ahead. But it says on Monday, diplomats officials said EU leaders were likely to hold a special Brexit summit in mid-November when they hope to be able to sign off on a divorce deal with Britain. Moving on to the euro quickly. Euro gains rises as attack. Sterling bills on gains. Let's go back. Actually, I ended up jumping here to this one, so let's see if we can't. Well, we already know what happened with the euro. I mean, well, like I said, I jumped into my Reuters clip on there, so let's just go on. We'll just quickly touch on that, onto that Italian debt, and we'll close out here. I think I just did it again. Doggone it. I was just going to mention about the German bunds. But That's where we are because we're actually moving lower here in the German bunds. But anyway, getting back here, let's go and start on the analysis. But getting back here once again that's one of the things I like about the ForexAnalytix group is a very supportive group. You have the ability, or you have here's Simon. Simon's an excellent trader, by the way. But a lot of good traders. Band is here throughout the whole European session into the U.S. session. But like I said, it's a very, very well thought out website, and you've got basically it's a one-stop shop with the news, the analysis. Maybe you're not into, maybe more into a macro and you like harmonics. Boom, push the harmonics button. Or you're into Elliott wave, and once again you've got updates throughout the day. Like I said, here was just on the cable. This one was updated. This one wasn't mine, but it says a swift fall after the jobs. Even good data in WTO headline. China have asked permission to apply sanctions to the USA, and the details so far: 29.89, old 78% retracement or resistance support held on the first test. And I said here was mine for those that are coming in right now. This was yesterday into the Asian session, so it got you primed. If you wake up during the European session and say, hey, what's the updates on the cable? What's the updates on the euro? Same thing here, right here in the cable. Hey, looking for a challenge to 30.83 with the stretch to 31.15, and lo and behold, we make it to 30.88. And that was confluence, and here's that pivot I'm referring to. We are closing below, so far we're below that pivot, but that confluence with the 23% here. And you get up in the morning, go, okay, well, what's happening with the, what's happening with the euros? You just click on it here. What analysis have we got? Let me just do a quick overview and see what's going on here. Okay, defend 1541 on Monday. We'll play the ranges between 1541 and 1635. Well, look, we made that run up here to 1645, and look, we've dropped. Look, we had a pretty good little drop here at 83. So we've dropped 50 pips when we were saying play the ranges. So now let's get into the analysis. Enough of the talk. Let's get there. So let's move this here. I tell you what, it took me a little bit of time to post some of the analysis yesterday because I tell you what, I'm kind of looking at everything differently. One of the things is we're looking at the euro. You might notice, wow, it looks a little bit different. I'll tell you what. I mentioned this to Blake yesterday. It's a real head scratcher for me. And I'm not kidding. I had to redo it a couple of times over. Is that this, it almost looks like it's in the middle of a range that's in the middle of another range. And that's what I'm saying about being careful with the euro. And in the analysis I did after the close, going into the Asian session, I told Blake, I got to redo my whole thing. I mean, this thing's got me scratching my head. And that's what I'm saying. I go, hey, play the ranges, but the upside I believe was 1635. Okay, they might be able to make it, but I really don't see it doing a whole lot at this point, and it's got me scratching my head. And the whole reason is right now the market is we're chained to these headlines that come out. One of the things I was mentioning, and we'll look at that quickly. I looked at the cash dollar index, and I said the same thing is. And really, I'll just make a quick move to that. Well, actually, we'll just wait and we'll take a look at that. But here on the euro, we do have the ECB coming up, and we're just middle of the range in it right here. In some ways, this market just feels tired, but like I said, I thought when I looked at it from a technical standpoint, one of the things I picked up, from Blake over the years is a market structure. When I look here at the euro, it looks like we're about ready to take off. And what I would have expected here from the euro, structurally speaking, okay, we pare back a little bit here and we just start moving higher. Okay, I'll give you an example here, what I'm referring to. And I think that's important because it kind of gives you a way to look at how you may want to play that. And that would have helped today. It would have helped today. Hence, why I was saying is to play the ranges, and I put 1635, and here's 1635, and here we are 50 pips lower from there. So when I look at it structurally speaking, I was saying, okay, now we're so oversold, we're breaking out, man, we're moving, we're really blowing and going here to the upside. Okay, a reasonable. Okay, we take, we pull back here. Maybe we even let's go and push this out. Maybe we even have to take another dip to clean some people out that they may have got in late. Okay, fine. But what do? We fall apart again. This I don't like. I did not like that at all here. Okay, and I thought, like I said Friday, I thought there was a possibility that the dollar could end up, they would gain initially and then give up those gains. What happened was during the U.S. session is then we got the talk about Trump saying, hey, I'll just slap another $200 and now $60 billion on Chinese, and that got the dollar on the bid. Although the dollar reminds me of a old Don Knotts movie, the Reluctant Astronaut. So it looks like the dollar, for whatever reason, it has its own issues why it's having a tough time, maintaining these rallies. But that being said, technically speaking, I've got a problem with the euro, and that's what I was telling Blake. I was like, man, I'm scratching my head on this one. I'm just trying to figure out what to do on this. And so, like I said, we got this nice move. We pull back. Okay, that's within reason right here. So you get a little bit of push up, and then what they do is they clock everybody out. Okay, so anybody got in long here, they all get stopped out. Okay, fine. Now let's start moving back up. And I thought that this, and I'm going in, let's put this right here. There we go. This is what I wanted to see. Okay, either we're here, we pull back, and now we start to advance. This, to me, negated all this good work. Not negated all, but it put it in the question mark. You see what I'm saying? Anybody who is bullish will tell you what, like they added, and maybe they added some more, and then maybe they were real good traders, or they were being very careful with the risk, and they exit out of part of the position. So they bought a little bit more here and said, oh man, I'm not worried about this. This is all good. I exited out of 1/3 of my positions. I add on here. Everything looks good. Oh yeah, they just cleaned some people out. Oh, now things are working my way. Yeah, here we go. When you come back down here, like, well, wait a minute. This doesn't look good at all. This doesn't look good at all. I mean, I'm still up, but this doesn't look good. I mean, I'm up from these positions, but I'm actually down from these positions. And that's what I'm saying on this move back up. I said play the ranges, and I put on here 1635 was the upside. This just it just feels heavy, like it just doesn't feel good. And that's what I'm saying is it's suspect that if we lose 1541, I think we break pretty hard. Okay, so that being said, that gives us a general idea of at least what my thinking process is here on the euro. But we're just playing the ranges. We're just going back and forth, back and forth. So when we look for today, what we're looking for as far as support, and we're going into ECB, I just feel like the euro, technically speaking, I don't mean technically, but I mean structurally speaking, just doesn't feel right. Now this area needs to hold. You can see here where I had this 1583. This is an important area for right now. I'm actually going to put the support here, which may sound a little bit loony, but I'll tell you what, if we get down here, my concern is they may try and really push the stops. And I don't want to be saying, oh, there's support right here, and then, so really, this area is very important here for the euro, right here. And I had that level drawn out in the Asian session. And I'm going to go with that right here, which is 1583. We're on support. We break lower. It doesn't mean all battle stations are red, blah, blah, blah. But I'll tell you what, you better be careful with this thing. If we start sliding beyond here, it can gain momentum, and the target, once again, is going to be that. Well, 1541 the daily, you can see the bottom of this zone, 1536. I updated the levels, try and get, where we have, the targets that we go for. So to me, it's important right now, 1583. That's going to be our intraday support. If we get beyond that, and of course, we had support yesterday much slower, but my concern is right now on a focus for today's trading. To me, you get past this 1583 area here, I think you have to be careful because once again, if we get below this 1541, it's really going to open the door for move lower. And here's my concern. It goes back to the cash dollar index here. And I will tell you about the analysis I did here in the late Asian session here. which is this 95.32, and I think that the dollar, it's probably just a headline away from maybe blowing some stops to the upside. I don't believe in an upside leg for the dollar, but could it hit some stops on the upside? Heck yeah. So it's going to be 1583 right here for support. Resistance, as we look into the euro for today. Spent a lot of time blabbing, but I hope we all kind of like are on the same page. Resistance is going to be right there. It's that bar close, 1626. That will be resistance for today. If we get past that, then we can really start moving higher and clipping some stops. So it's going to be 1626. Once again, you can see here we're in a range. Let's go and get moving into the cable. We talked about the cable. We did the analysis on the cable. For those that are coming in now, I'll bring that back up. Here was our analysis for the cable, going on to the ForexAnalytix website. This analysis was done during the Asian session. So for those that are with ForexAnalytix, or you want to try it out, you actually already had this analysis for you before trading even started in the European session. Look, it was the Asian update, looking for an upside challenge to 30.83 with the stretch to 31.15. Market's oversold, so don't get in the way. Daily close above the pivot of 30.56. We'll put the bottom in place for a pound for an upside move to 133. But here it is, looking for an upside challenge to 30.83 with a stretch to 31.15. Well, we got our 30.83 in the European session. There it is, 30.83, the number that I was looking at for a move to. Actually, I thought there might even be a possibility that we could even stretch beyond that. And I was looking, you see this area right here, all these touches? That's what I was looking at for your stretch to 31.15. We made it up to 30.88 or 30.87. Right now, the resistance at this point, we're going to go with 30.56. That was our analysis going into today's European session, 30.83. But the key right now is going to be the bias pivot that I just referenced. That will be for the rest of the session. You can see the importance of this bias pivot at 30.56. Look at that. Backwards and forwards, the momentum changes. And look how many times it was touched here before it launched huge. I mean, basically launched 1,300 pips. Before it come back down here, off of support, rallying 350 pips, and then vacillating before breaking lower. So you can see the importance of 30.56. The 30.56 is an important on a daily. Right now, this is going to be the resistance right now. The 30.83, done and dusted. It's 50 pips, likes to say. So that one's done. So we go to 30.56. Is going to be our resistance. And that's important for the daily also. So there we go. Now let's go and take a look at for support. Right there. I don't want to be too close. Just like this, we're always a headline away from some disaster here on the cable. But I like this area here. You see right here, here. You see here, right there. Look at that, 29.57. There's your support right now, 29.57 for today. Over the next 24 hours, I'm talking about your initial area of support. So 29. You can make the case for right here and here, but I'm saying is and look, if you take this out, you would be able to take out these stops and allow this market to touch back here. And you can see the significance here. It rallied, closed here, and then look at these touches on these wicks. So there it is, 29.57 on the cable. Well, then we already have. Just move it down one pip. And we need to get that daily close above 30.56 in order to change this from range to bullish. So I'm about ready to go and change that. We'll wait about another day or so, but on a very short-term basis, certainly is bullish. Let's go and move into the odd. I'll tell you what, we already have the New Zealand dollar. Yep, let's go and move into that quickly. We had 65 cents and 65.85. I don't think anything, honestly, I don't think anything has changed here. right now, with the whole tit for tat between the Trump administration and China, and the Antipodean currencies. Now, obviously, the Aussie is more impacted by those headlines than the Kiwi, but the Kiwi is certainly basically in the same boat itself. So, which is going to go 65 cents. Nothing has changed. 65.83 on the upside. So no changes there whatsoever. Okay, look at the Aussie dollar. Same boat. Holy smokes, we're even below 71 cents here. So the support that we had here for the Aussie dollar, we had at 71 cents. Well, we're just a tad bit below 71. And as I said, there was talk last week, and I can certainly understand that. I remember they were asking, I think they're asking, I don't know if they were asking Grega or in the chat room, or if it was Stelius, I don't remember. And they're asking him about, hey, this is very oversold. And he agreed. He said, yeah, it is oversold, but I tell you what, the pressure is still lower. And we talked about that also last week. Is, hey, look, one of the things that we talked about, we even mentioned yesterday, look, the market was trying to make a stand. You see this little hammer, and it was holding here on the first test. You see that? But that being said, oversold, yes, but the pressure was still on the downside. And let's move this here. And essentially, you just one big negative headline for another test. And sure enough, we've done just that. The concern is if the administration continues this whole trade tariff and news and bit, the pressure, now you're going to have to start to look at maybe 70 cents. That might seem like, wow, that's a bit of a stretch. But here's the thinking here. And, the show's about technical analysis, not about whatever. But but one of the things we do is we cover the news because we think that gives us a flavor or gives us a theme for the market to bounce against. Now, you can see right now, the market just can't pick itself up off the bottom, okay? The reason I mentioned yesterday is I don't think that the negative trade talk is going to come anytime soon, is because we're coming into the fall. You're seeing a lot of candidates come up for election, and the thought process is that's the one thing that the administration can hang their hat on is we're being tough. We're being tough with everybody. So Trump just said last week. He had actually said from the week before, or early last week, there's no deal that China can give us that we like or that I like, okay? So it already had a negative feel. And then towards the end of the week, then he's like, I'll slap another 200. So does that sound like someone that's going to, something may come out positive? Certainly doesn't. So it really is beginning to open the door for this Aussie dollar to move lower. The one thing that can help it is if the dollar index itself starts to pare back. So, I guess we'll have to move this a little bit lower. And at this point, I won't go a lot lower, but I'll tell you what, you got to be careful with this thing. We'll just go with 70.50 if the dollar does go in and get some legs and pushes even higher. On the upside, is there really an upside? No changes here. It'd have to be the 71.70. That's what they have to get above just to slow down the downside descent. So no changes there here on the Aussie. That remains 71.70. Obviously, 71.71, obviously still very bearish. So let's go move in now to the dollar CAD. So we're looking here on an intraday basis here with the dollar CAD. You can see here, we're really in a very, very tight range. here was our support from yesterday, 31.41, and that held up very well. The low so far, 31.32. We didn't get up here. We didn't push up here in these upper 32s. So you can see here we're trading in a very, very tight range. Obviously, they're still waiting on something to get resolved with the whole NAFTA business. You know, I wonder if you can call it NAFTA now, the way the administration is trying to go with bilateral agreements, and certainly that's been shown that that's not going to work with Congress. So kind of just hanging around here. But that being said, how do we stand technically? Well, we broke above this trend line, and we know that it's important that the market hold any pullbacks in here. But right now, we're focusing on the very, very short term at this moment. So the key on the upside, I don't see any reason to change this. I mean, if you're looking from a very, very short term basis, it's actually going to be right here. But it won't take much to push this thing, and we're suspect to the headlines. So it's going to be 32.08, which is 50 pips away. So from a short-term trading point of view, we're going to move it back down here. But once again, you have to realize that when you're looking at this news, we're not too far away from pushing up. But this is where the market will have some trouble here for today. And we would take out these stops here. It's going to be 32.08. Obviously bullish. We already talked about this. It's key on a daily close for 30.84. The reason I want to keep this 30.84, let's say the dollar slips, or let's say some news comes out and you're like, wow, look at this dollar cat. It is coming apart. This is where you would expect for them to go and find some support coming into this 30.84. But like I said, the trend line keeps pushing lower. 30.57 would be the 50%. So if the wheels were going to come off the caboose, this is where they're going to target 30.87. Doesn't mean they'll stop at that point, but that's where they're going to be targeting. They may go on and overshoot this thing, taking it down to about 30.65 or so. But that's, if we start to fall apart, keep this in mind. That's where they're going to target 30.87. You can see all these touches coming across here. Actually, they have it listed as 30.84, and a little bit of an overshoot. That's fine. That's just fine here. 30.84. The 31.41 is held here. You got to give it some room to test. So we need to move this down here. I'm just going to go with the technicals right there. There's the technicals. So that's going to be 31.23. So about 23 pips lower. Let's go moving here to the dollar Swiss. Nice run by the dollar Swissy. We had a resistance here at 97.52. You can see that right here. The market got up here to 97.59. You know, really more of a dead cat bounce than anything else, because boy, it really came under a lot of pressure. Some of it has to do, obviously, with the Swissy being a safe haven currency. You know, I'm not seeing any, you know, the only thing we will do is where the touches are here. See right there? The body close here touch, which is going to move that up just a few pips. That's it. It's all just going to go move. We've already had a pretty good run up in here, and the market's not making any big stabs here. It's just kind of like hanging on. It certainly looks like it's susceptible for a little bit of a pullback. Doesn't mean like it's going to come apart, but I think if you got past this area, that's where you would go in and trigger the stops and that would open the door. Once again, if we get a little bit of a dollar run, then it would actually open the door for us to make it up as high as 98. But for right now, there it is. We're just moving it up just a bit, and that's going to be 97.56. So really just that 52 worked out very well. I mean, so far at this point, we had 97.52. We're just going to move it up 4 pips. It's still bearish. Nothing has changed here on the Swissy. Haven't seen that many people trading the Swissy anyway, but yeah, it hasn't been a bad play from just a straight up technical move. Now, when we're looking for support here, we had 97.09. I want to stay with that 97.09. I don't think this thing is going to, like I said, it's a little bit tired here. It's had a decent little run, but some really has to step in and pick this thing up here right at that 97.09. So no changes here on the Swissy as far as support. So 97.09. It's still obviously bearish. And we'll move into the dollar yen. Here's another one that you just leaves you with your head scratcher. It does for me. Tricky. Yesterday we had support here. I mean support, resistance, 1138 right here. The market made it up here to this 1138. We're right now at 1132, so just a hair below resistance. You know, I just don't have a good feel for this dollar yen. It's just all over the place. Look at that. And when I say all over the place in a relatively tight range. You don't get the feel that it wants to, just about the time it looks like it can move higher, it breaks lower. And when by the time it looks like it's going to break lower, it moves higher. And we're just stuck in this range. The only thing that you want to keep your eyes on would be these moves in equities. If we start to get a good downside move, you would see a bid here in the yen. And that would probably, obviously, would work against it. So yeah, if you think about it, if you look at it, you're thinking, well, you know, let's take a look at the equities. We already had a pretty phenomenal run, and we're starting to lose some juice. And one of the concerns that I've had is that eventually, which is my concern for the dollar too, is eventually all this trade stuff is going to negatively impact equities. That's been my thought. Now, as I mentioned, August is seasonally, almost all the time, a very good month for equities, U.S. equities. We've had a phenomenal run, but it does look like the market's starting to get a little bit tired. That being said, and so if you start to garner some more downside momentum, if the market starts to think, you know what, this isn't good. This whole trade business is going to impact looking forward, because you know the market is a forward-looking mechanism. If we start to lose momentum, we start to see a break here, and I think we're just one headline away from a pretty decent little break. Not that I think the wheels are going to come off the caboose, but I just think that it'll start to tilt where people say, you know what, maybe we are coming inside or coming up for a good little correction. It's certainly going to put the yen on the bid as a safe haven currency, and that's why I think we would quickly slide back. So when I look at resistance, you know what, more of the same thing. I guess if the dollar gets another quick bid on a headline or something, it's back to the old pivot of 1166. The 1138s worked out well, but if you're looking for where are we at today, how far could we stretch if the dollar gets some extra juice, well, you have to be realistic and say, wow, it's already had a pretty phenomenal move, but where does the rubber meet the road? Well, it does at 1166. That's the pivot. And we already pulled that back, and you can see how important this pivot is, 1166. So let's respect where the market is right now, 1166. But I tell you what, I would really be careful trying to play this thing for the long side at these upper levels, because if we start to slide here in equities, the only thing that would help is if to push the dollar up. But once again, like I said, if equities start to eventually slide, the yen's going to go on a bid stat, and you're going to see dollar yen negatively impacted from that. When we look for support, Well, where would support be? Well, we're looking at it from an intraday standpoint. Here's support then. You have to move it up here in relation to where we've been. That's where you would look for the market to step in, some short covering. If the yen takes off like gangbusters, if U.S. equities start sliding over the next few days, obviously it would go through this like a knife through butter. That being said, for right now, from an intraday trading standpoint, here's your support here, 1095, 1095. So now let's move into the cash dollar index. I told you I did some analysis on the cash dollar index, and one of the things that we were looking at, I'd mentioned to you that we're doing our analysis. You get the analysis throughout the day here on ForexAnalytix, and we'll go to the dollar index. Obviously, like I said, for those who are just coming in now, here was the update in the Asian session for the pound. I was looking for an upside move, upside challenge to 30.83. Obviously, this was here before the European trading event, and we went to 30.88. Same thing here with the euro dollar. Once again, you have the benefit with you. Here with ForexAnalytix, not only have the advantage of being with seasoned traders such as Blake Morrow, Amanda, Stelios, Steve, and several others, but you've got it all in one shop here with news, analytics for Elliott waves, harmonics, basic technical. Here's my analysis here. We're going to move into the euro. We talked about the cable. Here's mine for yesterday, or actually in the Asian session, which was for the euro. We talked about the 1541. Remember how we talked about how important that was, and how important it was to get that daily close above 1541. Coming into the European session, I put here until this ECB play the ranges 1541 and 1635. Well, you can see here we did get that move up in here, and we got it actually. Market made it all the way up here to 1645. Here was my upside play the range at 1635 down to 15. We're off a good 50 pips from that area. So now let's move into the dollar index. Come in here. You can see how easy it is to navigate and get this analysis that may take place outside of the market or U.S. trading hours. You come in, you already get a good feel of it. This came in during the Asian session. Dollar index. Monday's minor slide still leaves the bulls in control. A 2-hour bar close above 95.32 sets up the market for an upside challenge of 95.68. A 2-hour close below 95.9 places the bulls on the back foot. Upside challenges would likely come during the New York session when bullish headlines appear. Well, I talked about the significance of 95.32. Well, lo and behold, look where they ran out of gas. Right there, 95.29.5. Because here's the significance I was looking at, and you know I like the touches, the closes, and that's where it came up with 95.32 right there. So we needed that, and the market ran out of gas. 2 pips lower, just 2 pips shy of that, and we saw a pretty good pullback. Look at this yank down. And here we are coming right back again. So let's go and get ready. Let's go and do the analysis here on the cash dollar index. But once again, hey, you got your choice. Basic technical analysis. Here's a 2-hour chart. There it was. Look at that. You can pop into information so quickly. Look at that. That's where we're coming up here yesterday. Here with the dollar index. You're all, like I said, it makes it so much easier on this website for all the different pairs that we'll look at. And now I focus on the majors, but you got the cross rates here also. The Guppy, Aussie yen, New Zealand yen. I mean, you got crude, the DAX, even Bitcoin, the cable, or actually the pound versus the odd. I mean, it's all here, all the different cross rates. So let's go and move in. Like I said, we talked about the cash dollar index. Let's go on and get into the analysis. So when I was looking at it in the Asian session, I said, hey, look, a 2-hour close above 95.32 would open the door for us to go higher. Well, we came up 2 pips shy as it came in here. And one of the things we mentioned yesterday, and I mentioned the analysis over the weekend, is that because we got that close on Friday, is those that keep selling against this 95.50 keep getting rewarded. And sure enough, they did. We had the dollar sliding, but the bulls were still in control. Well, we made this move in the Asian session, and it was key. It was 95.32. Well, they ran right into that resistance, came up just 2 pips, 2 ticks away from that, and the market quickly went on the offer, and we came back down. But you can see here it continues to go on hold. Here's that 94.88 right there, which was in the Asian session. If you with ForexAnalytix, you could already go and get that analysis. That was already here and waiting for you. You knew where that area of support came in here, the 94.88. That's where they found support, and look, they're going and jump up nearly 40 pips off of that, about 35 ticks off of that. So where we are today, well, looking back here, really nothing has changed here. A 2-hour close above 95.32. It's really right now, it's all about 95.32 for the moment. Well, actually, see, that's on a 2-hour close. Can we get something a little bit closer? Well, it's really all about 32. That is so important here. 95.32. You get above this 95.32, it's like what I was talking to you about the euro, inversely speaking. I wouldn't get in the way. We start to move up to 32. Really, you can start opening the doors for this thing to move much higher. So from a very short-term basis, the same way that I was telling you that it's important where we are with the euro right now. If you look here, I've got 1583, which is right where we're at now. I think that this area is very, very important. You start to slide below this 83, I tell you what, they're going to be focusing on 1541, and be careful. It's the same thing I feel here on the cash dollar index. On the upside, you get above this. We talked about this in Asian trading, or actually I posted the analysis in Asian trading. The importance is 95.32, and sure enough, the market ran out of steam 2 ticks before, and then we turn around and subsequently lose 40 ticks. Now we've turned around and bounced up nearly 35 ticks. I would think any moves above 95.32, people are going to start to get out of the way. Even blast, it certainly would be behoove you to get out of the way and let the market run up and let it run out of steam. And if you want to challenge it higher at 95.56, fine, go ahead. But I don't think anybody's going to get in the way if we get above 95.32. So that's our resistance. That 54 worked out well for the Monday session. But let's see here, 95.32. On the downside, support would come in, and I think it's possible we just vacillate right here, but you can see right there, 94.99, that's support. You get below that, then we're going to see, we already come down here, this 94.88 that I already had pegged in the updated analysis during the but a move down here, I think you can find some support. And then here's the deal, though, is that during the, and once again, talking about this 95.32, is that it's during the U.S. session that we're seeing all these headlines and tweets that, positively impact the dollar. So resistance support right now, we're in a very, very tight range. It's coming in at 94.99 at this point. We did get down to 94.88, but right now we've already gone and done that or beyond that. So now we look as to where does the support for right now come into place. This comes into place at 94.99. And here's the thinking here with the cash dollar too. Look, I think that we could even make another push here. And once again, I told you, if you get to be above 95.32 today on an intraday basis, not the close, we were talking about the close, I think you don't get in the way of this thing. And I think we're just one headline away from popping. I don't want to say blasting hard, because I don't believe that there's a brand new leg in the dollar index. Could be wrong, but could we blast hard? Look, if we get beyond here, nobody's going to want to get in the way. And I think that if we were to get a good solid close, I think it follows through the next day, and the real resistance comes in right there, 96.20. This is who I think that they'd be going for. I think that if we were to get it close here, we'll probably goose some stops. Maybe we make it up almost to 96. Maybe we get a little bit above 96. And then we kind of rest here, we close, and then they make another push. And the initial area of testing, I think, could be 96.20. Then if the market starts to slide, you would have stopped out all these people here, and then the market kind of hangs here, and then we'll see what it does after that. Does it pull back? That's when my concern is. Be careful. You'll probably see people saying, hey, look, I'm going to keep doing it until I'm proven wrong. I'm just going to keep selling 95.52, 95.54, whatever, until I'm proven wrong. But when you tell me where I'm wrong, I keep getting paid. Hey, you know what? They're right. But if we come back here for a third time, it just may go in and pop. And we know right now, bulls are still in control. Are we above 95? Yes. We take some stats below 95. But it's the old, like Blake likes to say, it's the old beach ball. You put it in the water, it keeps popping back up. Now, one of the things I don't like about the dollar, we talked about the euro, and I'm looking at it from a technical standpoint, I'm looking at it from structure. We talked about that earlier in the show. And you see here, look, we got this move here, and we just don't do anything with it. We come back, and here we are sliding back again. But let's focus on the very, very immediate term. And here's my beef with the dollar that I have from the structure. We come over here and boy, we got one heck of a downside. So we break this downside. It's almost like we were talking about the euro earlier. We break this downside and it looks like, okay, now we've opened the door for this market to go higher. Okay, great. And I'll use the arrow once again to stress a point. So we get this move, all looks good. Wow, sounds good. We come back down. Okay, that makes sense. You come back down. Here's an area for, so you know that it's broken the trend line. So we get overdone. We goose some stops. Anybody was short looking for further downside, they get stopped out here. Maybe some people say, oh, that's just a little bit of a bounce. This is good resistance. And then they go up here and they get these people stopped out. So now when you come in here, I'm talking from a structure standpoint. So this should be a good area. You come here, you pull back. Hey, this should be a good area for us to come in and buy. Got the advantage to go in and buy. And from here, it should be blue skies ahead. You see that? And then we start working higher, and maybe we come in here, 96.20, we do that. And look, we turn around, we slide right back down again. So my thing is, this doesn't mean that it's so bearish, but it's just not making the best of a good thing. I mean, you know, if you look at this market, look at this. So the market's, you know, certainly in a bullish mode. No one can dispute that. So okay, so we're a little bit tired, and we come down and we really clean out some people very good. Very well, clean them out. Okay, now we're ready. I think we've got, now we can start up a new leg up. Okay, we're on our way. Okay, a couple people got a little bit excited. Now they're going to get cleaned out. Okay, great. Here's my buying opportunity. See, I'm coming back here. Here's the breakout area. Hey, perfect area to buy. Okay, now as my friends dad, you say, now we're cooking with gas. And look, and we turn around and slide back down again. That's my thinking. And but that being said, the bulls are still in control. There's no doubt about that. So my thought being is, we're just a headline away. One more, whatever. Honestly, I don't even know how much more negative you can get or caustic you can get with some of these headlines. But I think we could, that's what I'm saying, get beyond this 95.32. You got to be careful. I think we could gun those stocks. We may go up here and then we run out of gas, and we'll see what happens after that. We've got the ECB. So when we're looking as far as resistance here, we talked about the 32. We'll look for support, 94, 99. We're just trading in a very tight range. But I tell you what, we're already past Labor Day. We're into the week after. We're going to break one way or the other here. And I'm not sure how it's going to go and play out. If it wasn't for the headlines, I think we'd be a lot lower and in the dollar index just to go in and correct. But for right now, the bulls are in control. Just go in and play these tight ranges. And it's one of the reasons why my analysis now is focused a whole lot in a smaller time frame, because that's what we're dealing with right now at this point. Let's go on and move in now to the gold market. Probably pushing up. Yeah, we are pushing up against time. So gold is being pulled by the nose ring by the dollar. I did some analysis for the gold market too. Not that it was updated from yesterday, because really nothing's changed here. Gold is still in this range here. I think we're very oversold, no doubt about that. Gold trying to pick itself up off the lows. But that being said, we're doing the best that we can hang here. But if we get this daily close below 1194, it's really going to open the door, whether they make it or not, down to 1181. Nothing has changed. Yesterday we had our resistance. You can see right here for 1204. That was our intraday resistance. The high was 0380. Nothing's changed. I don't see anything change. We're just treading water for right now. The important one comes at 1207 for the daily and 1194 for the daily. Right now we're just treading water in gold. It's trading very, very quiet. So no changes here in the gold market. Everything's still staying the same. No changes. And still it's going to be under bearish. So let's go and move. We had 42.11 for our support. The low has been 42.13. Well, I'm going to stick with 42.11. I don't see any reason to change. We could take it up by a few pips, but that's it. That's support there, so there's no need to go and change it. 42.11. So right now, that support has held. We're off by 2 ticks. Resistance, hey, no changes there either. Resistance comes in at 43. Well, you know what? Probably have to move it a little bit lower. Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look. Market's very oversold. What are we going to take to get a bounce? Well, I'll tell you what we could take that's going to get a bounce, which would be if we get some more downside momentum here. We break these lows, that's going to give a bid tone to the bonds. Or the thinking would be it should. We are fairly oversold. So, yeah, I don't see any reason to change it. 43.14 is still going to stand there for resistance on the bonds, 30-year bonds. Let's go and move into the bonds. This market continues to remain under a heck of a lot of pressure. A heck of a lot. You know, I mean, we rolled into from the December, September to December, but look at these bonds. They're just up and down. It's like we need some kind of something to trade these things. They'll drive you bananas. Let's. Right there. 59.27. You can see the touches coming across. It may not be as clear, but it's 59.27. So 59.27. $59.48's been a pivot before. Intraday, it's going to be right there, $59.49, just above that tick. So it'll be 59.49. Okay, we'll take a look at the DAX. $11,890 is going to be support here on the DAX.